Hey guys, Sleepy Reader here. Something slightly different, although I think I've reviewed a digital thing or two before. But I'm gonna talk about a few digital only comics I've read recently on the Comixology app, and then some other comics that I happen to read digitally, although they're not digital only, both on the Comixology app and on Dark Horse. I got some free codes from Comic Book Mom that I won from her while just a little while back, and those include the new Avengers and Uncanny X-Men. And I also thought it would be fun to talk about mind management and a few other Dark Horse comics that I have read recently on my Dark Horse app. So what you're looking at here is the page that shows the comic books that you have downloaded onto your iPad, and then here is the page that shows you all your purchases on the Comixology app, and this shows that I have 610 purchases, 610 individual comic books, but a lot of them, or some percentage of them anyway, were free ones, and many of the rest were 99-cent ones. So, and this is the home page that you see when you first open up the Comixology app. Just wanted to ease you into it. What I wanted to talk about first is the Monkey Brain comics, which are a new line of comics that are all creator-owned, digital only, at least for the time being, started by Chris Robertson, who is the author of I, Zombie and other comics. And so his idea is that the creators, when they finish an issue, can just put it up and start promoting it as soon as it gets onto Comixology. And so I think it's a bit of an experiment for professionals to put out creator-owned comic books digitally with some legitimacy, because they're under the Monkey Brain Comics logo. So one of the ones I decided to try is called Bandette by Paul Tobin and Coover. I can't remember her first name. She's Paul Tobin's wife. And this one's quite appealing. I think the idea of it is it's an imaginary French comic book done by these American comic book creators. And it has this very charming art style. And it's about a young costumed vigilante, I guess she is, although maybe she's kind of a Robin Hood figure, stealing from the rich and doing something good with the money, I guess, and also acting as a superhero at times, I gather. It's hard to tell everything of what this is going to be from the first issue, which was about 16 pages long. And from the look of it, with the illustrations and the really light style of the dialogue and the fun, this would have been a great comic book to share with my daughter. However, it has this fairly mild sex scene, but not mild enough for me to read with a 4-year-old. Maybe with a 10-year-old or 12-year-old, or I don't know at what age. But I don't want to start, giving a small child these images of sex that, may be slightly disturbing. So anyway, if it weren't for like that 1 or 2 panels, this would have been great to read with a small child, and the grown-up can enjoy it and the kid can enjoy it. So I guess it's still fun for adults to read in a kind of, oh, what a cute kid's book this is. So, she has cute things like her little watch that lets her friends know that they have to come and help her. So this person is on the rad tie motorcycle is blocking the bad guys on their motorcycles from catching up to her. And then we see her changing, and then we see the police commissioner calling her and asking her for her help at a bank robbery. So obviously she plays both sides of the law, and looks like a relatively cute, fun comic strip, but unfortunately maybe not exactly appropriate for small children, even though it looks like something that would be fun for small children. No second issue has come out yet. I don't know if I will get the second issue or not. I enjoyed it, but I am a little annoyed that I can't share it with my daughter. So, it's an okay, fun thing. It cost 99 cents. It seemed okay for that. So we'll see where it goes. And then Chris Robertson himself is producing this, yet again, another twist on superheroes called Edison Rex. Edison Rex is basically a Lex Luthor figure who has been fighting forever against a bad guy named a good guy named Valiant, Protector of Earth, who's obviously another Superman. And in this issue, they have a little showdown, but it's all talking, where the Lex Luthor character, Edison Rex, basically talks the Superman character into the idea that eventually he's going to go insane and go on a rampage and destroy people. And he realizes that Edison Rex is right, so he voluntarily has himself destroyed. But before he goes, he says, that you'll have to protect the Earth now, Lex Luthor. I mean, Edison Rex. And so the issue ends with Edison Rex realizing, yes, he will have to protect the Earth. So it seems kind of like a little one-off joke, but I guess it is the first issue of a continuing series. It kind of reminds me a little bit of a lot of things, but most strongly like Tom Strong or something like that. In its take on superheroes. So not wonderfully original at this point, but probably a fun little lark. Again, I can kind of take it or leave it. So far from these two things that I've looked at Monkey Brain Comics, they're, putting out little side projects that it seems to me that they're putting out little side projects that they figure it's not going to hurt them if they've given away these ideas and no one buys them. So it doesn't seem like they're putting their best foot forward, the creators who are involved, but rather just sort of little side things that are fun, but nothing to shake the world or anything. So then DC has been doing a lot of digital only or digital first stuff. So I don't know when these Legends of the Dark Knight digital comics will be coming to print. Surely they will eventually, but so far I haven't seen any sign of it. And I looked at the first two. There's been a lot of them now, but the first two were just short one-off stories, each one costing 99 cents. But when you look at it closely for your 99 cents, you're getting the equivalent of 10 print pages of comics. They break each print page in half, so it looks like you're getting 20, but it's really the equivalent of 10. And this one was of interest because it was written by Damon Lindelof, who's the main guy behind Lost and some other TV shows, and art by Jeff Lemire, who normally at this point we're used to him as a writer, but he did start off as a writer-artist with kind of this indie style, which you can see here. But it works pretty well for Batman, so I enjoyed the art, except that Lemire made the feet too big. But it works as kind of a quirky take on Batman. And this one is all about how Alfred proves something to Bruce Wayne that Bruce Wayne thought he didn't. Bruce Wayne thought he didn't have this weakness, and Alfred shows him his weakness. So it's a really small little story. It, to me, doesn't fit into my own personal image of Batman very well. It's just a little clever, one joke kind of thing, one punchline kind of thing. And I guess that's what you have to do in a 10-page comic. But if I hadn't read it, I wouldn't have felt bad at all. And then another one I tried was called All of the Above, another basically 10-page thing. This one written by someone named Jonathan Larson, I don't know who he is, and illustrated by J.G. Jones. And the the art by J.G. Jones was very nice. So it was a pleasure to read it just for that. It was just a little showdown between Amazo and Batman on the Justice League's satellite. I don't know if they have a satellite in current New 52 continuity, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. And it was kind of a clever little Batman solves a puzzle, how to beat the bad guy, done quite well. Kind of a classic, kind of old school DC kind of story when you think about it. Except for the higher quality of the art, this could have been a story from 1965 or something. But well done. But it does show here, like when you zoom in on panels on the iPad, that it chopped up panels, and this is supposedly digital only, so you would think the panel size would be created to work just right with the Comixology zoom feature. But despite that, it was fun. I was glad to have read it, I think mostly because of the art. So yeah, it does make me think despite the fact that they're doing digital only, they still haven't thought through digital and how to make it work best. But the art and the coloring here look beautiful on your tablet screen. I found that you can really enjoy digital comics if you're doing it on a tablet. If you're doing it on a computer screen, it's a lot less appealing. Here is Insufferable, week 12. I reviewed this a while back quite positively. It's Mark Waid's gambit into the digital world. Every week every Wednesday he posts a few more pages. Whoops. And he does kind of little tricks that work well in a digital comic book format. And he's lately been focusing on putting a lot of these captions with tweets in them that are being tweeted about the characters or by the characters. And that's kind of clever. But I don't think Waid has really figured out this weekly comic book thing yet. So I don't feel in a rush each week to go back and read the next week. He does a lot of reveals and twists. He keeps revealing more and more all the time, trying to keep us coming back. But the story as a whole just seems to be rambling with, yes, more and more twists, but the basic idea of the story just seems to be stretching out and not going anywhere in particular. So, there's a clever thing where there's just a change in one panel of the dialogue and the coloring, which shows the emotion. But so we've been getting a parade of serial killers and a series of sections where this hero, the Batman-like hero, always solves the crime just in time, and his son, who has rejected him and is now the celebrity hero, always arrives a little late and is getting more and more upset at his father, who he's estranged from. It's a good basic setup, but it's not feeling like it's going very far anymore. Although there's this fun scene where the Robin character, the celebrity superhero, gets punched out by his ex-girlfriend. So we see that, and then we see all the tweets that people tweeted about it. So that's kind of clever. I mean, this is definitely worth looking at on the Thrillbent website, which is completely free. And I guess soon Waid will be putting up comics by a lot of other professionals. So it's worth keeping an eye on. But so far, it's not entirely clicking. So I think that's all the purely digital stuff I wanted to talk about. Here's the Secret Avengers, which it's the first time I've ever read this. So it was fun to sample it by getting the free digital code from a comic book mom. Thank you very much. This is written by Rick Remender and drawn by artists I hadn't heard of. And I think if I just glanced at this in the comic book store, the art wouldn't appeal to me a whole lot. It's okay, but it just doesn't grab me. but it does grab me when zoomed in on my iPad. When I look at individual panels up close, I appreciate the art here a lot more. And it's kind of a fun story with these secret Avengers who are literally secret, and their headquarters is some hidden miniaturized ball that floats around the Earth, which, I mean, shades of Frankenstein Agent of Shade. That's the same basic idea. Don't know who came up with it first. Secret hidden agency in a shrunken headquarters. So anyhow, this was, see there, you look at the close-up art there, it's very good. But so this might be something that I'll look into a trade, or maybe if I can get it cheaply someday digitally, do it that way. Because I do like it when I close up on the art. Yay, Venom looking badass there. So, yeah, that was fun to read. Then even more fun to read was, much to my surprise, Uncanny X-Men. Coming in the middle, I've only read a little bit of Avengers versus X-Men, and I've never read Uncanny X-Men. But this was really cool, fighting this sinister London city full of clones. The art was pretty damn incredible, and it seemed full of cool ideas. So I don't know if the rest of the series is like this, but this was a lot of fun to read. So I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out on how to read this Uncanny X-Men segment when I eventually get the Avengers vs. X-Men in trade. And then on to Dark Horse. Dark Horse has their own app on the iPad, and it doesn't work quite as well as the Comixology app. But you can get lots of good deals on Dark Horse Comics if you first order them from their website, and then they'll appear on your iPad app. There's a sample of their page. So one thing I got for 99 cents was all these preludes to the Massive, which have beautiful art. I really liked the coloring here, at least while looking at it digitally. I actually had some problems with the coloring of the first issue 1 of the Massive when I got it in paper. I don't know if the digital makes a difference, or I just like the coloring better in these preludes. And the art is really excellent. So it basically gives you an even better sense of where the 3 of the main characters in the Massive are coming from. It's their backstories, or a little bit of their backstories. I assume this will be in the Massive trade, and after reading the first issue of the Massive, I decided to wait for the trade. I just found it hard to read in a single issue. So if you are reading the Massive and you would like a little more background, I think this at the moment is only available digitally, or each of these 3 preludes is available also in the Dark Horse Presents comics. You can look in the back issues of those. But this would be the cheapest way to get them. Beautiful artwork. Then they had a sale on Mind Management for 99 cents, and I'd heard some good reviews about it, but when I looked at it in the comic book store, I just didn't like the look of the art. So I didn't get it there, but for 99 cents, I thought it was worth trying. And then it turns out they also had 3 free digital preludes, pretty long preludes, maybe 10 pages each. So I've been reading those digital preludes plus the first 2 issues of Mind Management. And I've got to say, it's pretty good. It's basically a conspiracy story, a huge conspiracy story about some kind of secret agency called Mind Management that is incredibly powerful and uses some kind of, superhuman, mutant-like mind control abilities. So, and no one knows they exist, and they have all kinds of control. But it's almost like they're an urban legend or something. And we get a lot of mysterious scenes. It's pretty violent. And you can see the art is very indie kind of art, for lack of a better word. And it's all colored in what looks like real watercolor coloring. I don't know if it was done digitally or if he really did watercolor. So it's kind of quirky in the way it looks, but if you just go by the writing, and this is by Matt Kindt, who I believe now writes Frankenstein Agent of Shade. Anyway, if you just go by the writing, it's not so weird. I mean, it's like X-Files or something, and it's very enjoyable if you enjoy a paranoid conspiracy theory kind of story. Here's one of the better pages art-wise. Some of the pages just look kind of ugly to me, and the way he does figures, they're kind of unappealing to me. They're just a little too sloppy. But there is quite a bit of cool stuff. Eventually, after the Preludes, we settle down with one main character named Maru, who's a kind of investigative journalist who's trying to track down this stuff that she just has kind of a vague hunch about. And in the first two issues we get, so that's my last image from there. We get a lot of material, but the story hasn't progressed too far. But these are pretty meaty comics. I think they're 25, 27 pages long, with a lot of plot in there. But there's a lot to be revealed. So this is a lot of fun if you're not bothered by this art style. Sometimes in the close-ups, when I close up in the digital version, that watercolor look actually becomes kind of appealing. But yeah, I wish the art was a little different. And then also by Matt Kindt is this thing called 3-Story Secret Files of the Giant Man. It's a one-shot, and it also came quite inexpensively digitally, or it was on sale recently. I don't know if it's still on sale on the Dark Horse Digital website. If you're interested, though, in digital things, you should keep track of what's going on their website, because they offer a lot of deals and bundles and stuff where you save a lot of money. This I liked even better than Mind Management, and his art seemed better here, more detailed. He seemed more in control, maybe a little less rushed, and the quirkiness of it also fit more closely to the quirkiness of a story, which is just about this really giant man, but he's not like a superhero, so it seems he's just traveling around the world. So each chapter is Giant Man in a different place. Giant Man in Paris, Giant Man in Egypt, and then Giant Man in the Philippines. And so it's more like a, for lack of a better word, magical realism story. So it's like, what if no one is surprised by it, but there's this giant man, and he goes around the world, partially as a tourist, but partially as kind of an attraction, visiting different places so people can see him, and I assume being paid for it, although they never discuss that money aspect of it. So I liked all 3 of these little stories. They were all quite good. They were kind of whimsical and just quite enjoyable, each one with a slightly different perspective too. So here's just more samples of the art. I guess it was kind of clever. In Egypt, one of the people says it's kind of funny. It's like one tourist attraction visiting another when he visits the sites in Egypt. And all the people come to watch him visit the sites in Egypt. But he gets sick. This is funny. He gets sick from the Egyptian food, I guess. And he pukes up into these beds of the giant trucks. So we eventually learn that the trucks we saw at the beginning dumping things into a dump were dumping the giant man's puke. A little gross, but also kind of funny. This is a beautiful picture here of Giant Man in the Philippines. And this is a very kind of ironic story where they where they tie it into Vietnam and stuff. So I highly recommend this Giant Man. I don't know if there's also a series in the works or has been a series in the past about Giant Man, but this one shot, if you want something a little different, a little quirky, is a very successful quirky thing. Now here is something I'm really glad I only bought digitally for 99 cents, which is a great shame. Gilbert Hernandez, one of the Los Hernandez, who used to do Love and Rockets, has been in the past a great favorite of mine, but here it feels like he's just coasting. It's a zombie story. There's a few stylish panels like this one about Fatima, whose job it is to basically just blow away zombies. The zombies are created through some addictive drug in this future. So it seems like she's both fighting zombies and fighting the drug dealers. But yeah, I just thought it was a waste of time. Unless you really love the Hernandez brothers and have to have everything they do, or you just want every variation on the zombie idea. I mean, it's a little bit clever that it's by this done from this drug. The art's not bad, but it's not really his prime art either. And I noticed somewhere in here, it says Beto 2001. So it may either be a reprint of an obscure story or something he did in 2001 but never published until now. And I guess this is an ongoing series or a mini series. Let's see. Sorry for flat. Yeah, 1 of 4. But I don't recommend it. But it's nice, this is another nice thing about digital if you have the equipment to look at it, that it's a way to try out things without spending so much money. Here, another thing going back to the Comixology app is some of the publishers, not too much with Marvel or DC, but Image for sure, have a lot of first issues for free. So that's also a good way, even if you later want to buy it in a solid copy, a good way to try out some of their things. They have a lot of listings of free things. There's just a sampling here. So you can get first issues of most of their comics, I think, for free, just to try them out. Obviously, they do that because they hope you'll buy more. And if you are doing digital, it's so easy to keep buying more very quickly. So I just wanted to show that. And one of the free ones was Prophet #1, which is the original Rob Liefeld Prophet, which is now a really cool series being done by Image, where they rebooted it and did it completely differently than the Rob Liefeld version. But I was curious just to see it, since I was already buying Prophet, what it looked like once upon a time. And I also, not for free, but I bought very cheaply the Rocketeer collection of all the Dave Stevens Rocketeer. So I'm looking forward to read that, and if I really like it, I will probably get a physical copy later. It was on sale. It's currently on sale. Probably won't be for much longer, but for like $3 for like 120 pages or something. And also I got the first issue of Bulletproof Coffin for free. I haven't read that yet, but I'm going to read that and then probably buy the trade, assuming I like it. So here's what Prophet #1 looks like from way back in the 90s. It looks kind of silly. So the guy on the left here is Prophet, and on the right is a character named Kirby, who's chomping on a cigar, kind of like Jack Kirby did, although he looks like Jack Kirby as a young disco-going dude, I guess. I don't know, with that bandana and everything. So I guess Kirby was Prophet's best friend back then. These drawings are so over the top, there's something kind of enjoyable about them, although it's definitely not my favorite art style. And I don't know. There were some cool things about this Prophet, and I guess they've mined some of the cool ideas and went in a completely different direction with it with the current Prophet. Yeah, so that's the end of my way too long video now about some things I've been reading digitally. I'll be back soon, live in the flesh, with videos about real comic books. Talk to you guys later.